Hey, welcome back everyone. It is now March 2nd of 2022, and ever since the very end of the Book of Boba Fett and how a lot of fans are now preparing for shows like the Kenobi TV series, The Bad Batch Season 2, and even The Mandalorian Season 3, there's a lot of other projects that are currently in the works behind the scenes over at Lucasfilm between Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, George Lucas, and even Disney CEO Bob Chapek that is really allowing all of this to happen as we speak. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way, guys, I am on Twitter at Mike01 if you guys want to go ahead and give me a follow on there. I do post a couple of entertaining things from time to time and really make sure to interact with you guys further. So it's even all the more exciting right now is that we are not only getting very close to the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV series trailer, because the marketing run is going to begin in the middle of this month into the late portion of this month. That's going to really build up the hype of the Kenobi series slowly until we reach May 25th on its release date. So we have a lot of things currently happening. We have the Kenobi marketing approach, the release date, we have the Bad Batch Season 2, which we'll get into that a little bit later. There's been a little bit of a speed bump with that show, but I'll explain about that a little bit later. There's been a lot of things happening between Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni to really insert a lot of Star Wars legends and mixing it in with the current Disney canon, and how exactly they're going to be able to balance all of this to really kind of respect both casual fans and hardcore Star Wars fans. It's all about creating that balance and exactly what is too little, what is too much of each portion, right? So on top of all of this, what's even all the more intriguing has everything to do with Kathleen Kennedy. Now, we already know that Kathleen Kennedy has been having a lot of issues with the Acolyte TV series by Leslie Headland. You know, there's been a lot of delays, a lot of firings of directors and co-writers on, top of all of that, costing Disney a lot of revenue. But with that being said, however, now that both Disney and Lucasfilm are getting ready to begin filming the Ahsoka Tano TV series, creators Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are also preparing themselves to announce a host of new Star Wars shows at Celebration this May. Now, I subscribed, however, that recently Kathleen Kennedy got the chance to engage in an interview when she talked about the roadmap of Star Wars and what she thinks about the Star Wars fandom. Now, Kathleen Kennedy went on to state that, it was never my intention to create a divide within the Star Wars community. This is something that we completely notice here at Lucasfilm, that there were many upset fans of our vision for the sequel trilogy movies. Now, I disagree, however, that it was the creators' fault, such as JJ and Ryan's. The way I see it, the fans brought this division on themselves and took the nature and fun out of the overall Star Wars franchise and the overall community. The fans who created these issues, of course, dividing the entire community that has been around for decades. And I will, yes, admit that we played things very safe in the beginning with Episode 7, because we know what we saw in the prequels that George made and how the fans also created a divide all those years ago. When I look at films like The Last Jedi and what we did with Episode 9, I am proud to this day of what we created, Kathleen Kennedy states. The majority of fans love these films. It's the minority of fans that created this false image that it was the creator's fault. Now let me just stop right there for 1 second, because when Kathleen Kennedy says that it's the fans who created this false image, that it was the creator's fault of making these movies into what they are, that is exactly what happened. It was Rian Johnson who wrecked The Last Jedi, and if you guys disagree with me, that's perfectly fine, by the way. Everybody has their own opinion. If you like The Last Jedi, that's perfectly fine. It really is. But there's no denying the fact that the majority, not the minority like Kathleen Kennedy still believes, the majority disliked The Last Jedi. In my point of view, it's the below casual fans, and I'm talking about people that really know nothing about Star Wars at all, that just went into this movie to go ahead and catch the movie, to go ahead and see The Last Jedi just because. Those are the type of people that liked the movie. That's, of course, why Kathleen Kennedy is getting mixed up with the majority liking the movie versus the minority, where in reality, it's the actual Star Wars fans in that entire group that had a very hard time accepting The Last Jedi, and even Episode 9. Episode 9 was a little bit more respected. That is pretty much a fact at this point, but there's no doubt about it that that was complete damage control. They tried to reverse a lot of things. J.J. Abrams even tried to do that as well. And I think that what Kathleen Kennedy is trying to do here is that she's really trying to save her image. She really is. Absolutely 100%. She's trying to save her image. And when you look at everything of what's happening with the Acolyte, this is going to be yet another prime example that Kathleen Kennedy cannot lead on a creative level. So on top of this was the fans' fault at most, she says, and the root of the issue for the fan division in the Star Wars world right now. Look, listen, I love Star Wars fans, I love the community, but there comes a time when you have to point the finger as to what's really happening in real time, she says. The fans have been overly demanding for the creators, putting a ton of pressure on directors and writers, and the only way to succeed with these Star Wars stories is to not listen to the fans at all. This is our approach with the Acolyte series. Myself and Leslie have been doing a great job, with some delays in between, but things are coming great, and many around the world are going to be so happy after they see what we did and what we are doing in the series. We need to reinvent how we handle the fandom's voice, and how it can rip apart a community like what happened after The Last Jedi's release, and especially after the sequels came to an end. It's also our job to make sure that we don't cave too much into George's philosophy of Star Wars, as this is what the fans are expecting to see in the Acolyte. To put things simply, I believe that the Acolyte will serve as a great symbol of what a Star Wars project can become if you don't fall into what fans are asking for and fall into their over-the-top demands. This is going to be a very special feature that everyone is going to enjoy on Disney Plus next year. I can tell you that with all confidence. So, this is another prime example that Kathleen Kennedy is just never going to owe up to her failures. And she's never going to own her failures with The Last Jedi, with The Rise of Skywalker, with Solo especially, of how she lost so much money for Disney from that. We have seen this time and time again, where Kathleen Kennedy kind of really puts pressure, like she says, on the fans. Except she says that it's the fans putting pressure on the creators. I don't believe so at all, because look at what happened with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. I mean, they listened. They listened to the fans specifically. They actually listened very carefully. They even fan-casted Ahsoka Tano. They did. You know, the whole Rosario Dawson thing becoming Ahsoka Tano, I don't know if you guys knew this, but this was a fan decision. This is something that fans have been asking for since, 2017, 2016. And Jon and Dave saw that, and they actually did it. And that's exactly why I think Jon and Dave are the best Star Wars creators, because they actually listen to the fans. They pick and choose very good directors, for the most part, with Robert Rodriguez being just, one sour part of that. But everybody else, Peyton Reed did an excellent job. I thought Bryce Dallas Howard did a pretty solid job. There's a lot of people coming into these Star Wars shows that I believe are going to really prove a lot of great things. But when you have Kathleen Kennedy, somebody like this, blaming the fans and literally saying that it was the fans' fault and not the creators' fault, such as Rian Johnson literally destroying the momentum of the sequel trilogy and kind of creating that ripple effect in the Star Wars community, that's never really going to go away until a couple of years from now. They need a series of successful Star Wars TV shows in a row to really convince the fans that, okay, Star Wars is back in action now. It's going to take at minimum 3 years in my book. So overall, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.